All right, welcome everybody to episode 7 of the Super Smash Show. My name is Face, and today I am joined by
Shaggy. Hello. How's it going?
Hangman.
Hello.
Zone.
Hey guys, how's it going? So since last week, we've obviously talked about the Direct already once, but if you didn't catch our bonus episode, you can find it on YouTube. We did a Thursday episode. Normally, we don't do episodes on Thursday, but because the Direct was on Thursday, you know. But yeah, since then, we've kind of digested a lot of the info from the Direct. We've also seen a lot of extra content coming out of the Invitational from Japan and coming out of the, I guess, what are they doing in Spain? It's like a promo type thing.
It was a special event from Nintendo of Europe that was held in Spain.
Right. So there's been a lot of news coming out of that. So, yeah, I guess the first thing that I would like to talk about is the fact that the full build could potentially be kind of out in the wild right now.
Yeah.
Spain definitely has what we think is the official retail release. A lot of people are going to expect to get review copies possibly later this week or next week.
It makes sense because they have to beat the holiday rush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there is exactly a month till this game comes out. We have 30 days and counting. So it's getting down to the wire.
Yep.
I don't know. Frank, you were on our reactions episode, but neither of you guys were, right?
No.
No,
So,
I wasn't here for the reactions.
I was at my job.
No, you weren't?
Yeah, I was listening.
That's right.
at
You
work.
were okay. So let me first, before we dive into any actual news, let me get some impressions from you guys. What'd you think?
All right, so because I was at work, I wasn't able to watch it live. I watched like half of it, and then customers started coming to my job and bothering me. But my initial reaction to Incineroar and Ken, we had talked about it previously that we thought, they were pretty likely. I was still hyped. The trailer looked amazing. I loved the cinematic. I loved how they introduced them. I think just like how they showcased it, Ken definitely looks more fun than Ryu. Ryu's just, I guess like the way Ken, he's just more explosive. He's a little quicker.
Mm-hmm.
That just appeals to me a little more. And Incineroar, I love wrestling, and I know that there's a lot of wrestling fans out there. He's definitely going to be a popular choice day one, right off the bat. And then at the end, Piranha Plant.
Piranha
Like,
Plant,
oh,
huge.
that threw me through a loop.
I'm most excited for Piranha Plant.
Yeah.
to be honest.
I'd have to agree.
I'm so surprised with this reaction to Prop Plant. Almost everyone I see is just all on board. The only people that really aren't are like diehard Geno or Waluigi fans. And
Well, we finally have a Paper Mario rep because the Piranha
That's
Plant
true.
has an attack from Paper Mario.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know before the show, Son had pointed out that the Piranha Plant changes to one of the colors during one of its attack, the poison gas attack.
Yeah, because the yellow and red dots.
interesting.
So it's the closest we've gotten to Paper Mario really getting any representation besides the Paper Mario stage from 3DS that
Besides
happens
the-
to return.
Yeah, that
Besides
stage is
this
back.
Yeah.
Speaking of stages coming back later in the show, I do want to kind of dive into some of the stages because we've gotten a better look and a better understanding of the rest of the stages. And in terms of tournament legality, we could actually kind of have a serious conversation about that. So maybe we should do that later. But so overall, you guys thought it was a good direct, bad direct? I don't know. I personally didn't like that direct very much.
It was for the fact that they opened it with the characters and then kind of ended it with the characters, and then we got that the World of Light trailer. I think everything in between, other than like maybe the fact that they removed trophies and just like it was just all the informational stuff, like the extra modes. It's kind of, you can kind of just gloss over it. There was nothing really major, in my opinion, that just like what stole the show was the characters and the World of Light trailer. Obviously, I just felt like it wasn't too important. They weren't betting on that, being.
I figure by
either.
putting that World of Light trailer at the end, they were really kind of betting on it being a bigger deal than I think it was to some of us more serious competitors. Like,
Yeah.
I think to the casual consumer, like World of Light is really interesting because it's like a subspace-ish, kind of adventure mode.
If
Looks
there's
big.
more cutscenes, then it's Subspace too.
Yeah, that's the
basically.
thing. I'm so surprised that there's so much demand for good quality cutscenes.
Because they look cool.
They do?
Because you want to see your favorite characters interacting again.
Yeah.
And that's what people really like about Subspace.
Yeah, I mean, Smash is kind of one of the few places where you can get a crossover experience. So I guess I understand it. But, if they're not there, I don't expect them to have cutscenes besides maybe an opening one, which is what we saw already, a closing one if you win, and then maybe one or two in the middle.
Well, we know that there's at least cut-ins for the bosses because in the trailer they show the Inkling walking up to Galleon, which was an
Galleon,
original
yep.
boss from Brawl.
Sure.
and Galleon just activates.
Yep.
So we have reason to believe that at least the original bosses are back, like Galleon, Duon, possibly even Taboo.
Yep.
Rayquaza.
Rayquaza was a boss, and there was Ridley, and Meta
Well,
Ridley, but
Yeah, really, yeah, probably not a boss.
probably
anymore.
not going to happen.
Well,
Maybe
we know that there is
trade.
a Meta Ridley skin in the game. Whether or
Mhm.
not we can access it is another question, but it exists, and there is a renderer for it.
Sure.
You beat Meta Ridley, then the metal falls off, and it's just Ridley, and you get him.
That could be
Yeah,
a
probably.
Yeah,
interesting way to
that's
unlock.
something.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm excited for World of Light. I still feel like we don't know a tremendous amount about it, but I guess it's kind of be one of those things where we see more of when the game comes out, because we're probably not going to get much more until then. But
Yeah.
what they are pretty set on showing us is like some more multiplayer content, and we can finally dive into that. So if you guys want to, I have a list of some of the things that we've learned so far from the combination of the Japanese Invitational and the Spanish
Yep.
demo. So the first thing that's pretty big for me is the fact we saw this actually earlier in the game's development cycle. You can't run through other players.
Yeah.
And we thought maybe, that seems like glitchy. It seems weird. Like, what's going on there? But in the final, we don't know for sure if it's final, but in the Spanish build that they were using for the demo, it was there again. So it's back. It's not removed. It's not some sort of weird bug or glitch. What do you guys think about that?
I'm actually most excited for this staying as a main mechanic. It's going to change up a lot of how Smash is played, really.
Sure.
I know that it's confirmed that we can run through partners in doubles,
That's
right.
and
Yeah.
presumably triples, quads, what have
Sure.
you. But in the 1v1 format, the fact that you can't just cross up your opponent by simply walking through them anymore means like that you have to commit to that movement option, unlike something that like in Smash 4 where that's very commonplace, in Melee where it's done without a second thought, much the same in Brawl and 64, but like now you have to really think about when you're that close to someone or when you're controlling the ledge, like they can't get through you. That's another limit to someone's ledge options.
Yeah.
On a game where ledge options already are seeming incredibly limited or something that you have to put a lot of thought behind.
Another thing, though, unlike other games, you can tilt out of run, so your run's less committal by nature because you can
Right.
just stop your momentum without a dash attack or a jump at any point. So I'm kind of 50-50 on how it goes. I think it's going to be a good thing, and I think it's the only way you can make running tilts work, because otherwise there would be so many options when you run at someone. But now you're kind of limiting into, okay, there's either an attack from the front, or they're jumping, or they're rolling back, whatever they're doing.
Yeah, I guess it gives it a little bit of advantage to the person
Yeah.
on the defense. Like they don't have to think about
Yeah.
don't have to think about a whole list of options and then double that list if they run through you because
Yep.
they do everything on the other side of you too.
Yeah, it's kind of a minor nerf. A lot of fast characters would like to run through your back throw. A few of them had kill throws, like Sonic was a big one, run through your back throw.
Sure.
So they can't do that anymore. They'd either have to do a tricky cross up or commit to rolling, which
Yeah.
is probably a bad move. But we'll see. Slower characters doesn't affect really at all. From Smash 4 at least. I think Ultimate they're all faster, so it was
Yeah, there's a general increase in
Less
speed
different.
across the cast. Jump squats are faster. Like
everything's faster. Everything is less lag for the most part. But
So-
yeah, I think it's a good move. I think it's a good move for what they can do. So it forces you, if you want to get behind them, to risk with a cross up, risk them reading it and punishing it, or risk rolling. So I think it's a good move.
yeah, I mean it's definitely weird. The general consensus I think is that people don't like it because it's just a change that like why we had 5 Smash games without this.
Yeah,
you know,
sure,
like,
Yeah.
People don't like it because it's different. And they don't want to have to learn to adjust to it.
yeah.
We've seen that a lot.
The general counter argument being like, Street Fighter and every other 2D fighter, you can't just like run through your opponent. You have to jump over them. So it seems to put Smash more in line with other 2D fighters, and I think that'll make, a true one-on-one fight feel more
one-on-one.
more realistic. But we'll see. It's a change that I think we can come to grow to like.
Yeah, it definitely limits an option and removes an option, but the game added so many options. Other than that, I think it will balance out.
So another thing that we have confirmed from these demos and early tournaments is that the custom balance is not some sort of rage toggle. You were mentioning this earlier today. Can you give me some more details?
So initially, when we saw this, custom balance was shown in one of the earlier menus with a image that was very similar to an in-game mechanic that's seen in Smash Run for the 3DS, and that in-game mechanic basically described rage. Rage has never been an official name. It's just something that people have been using for the adaptive damage that you get through percentages. That's a comeback mechanic in Smash 4. But now we know that custom balance is a more modern name for handicap, where you could set the damage multiplier for someone specific in game, which is nice. But now it means that we are stuck with rage.
No. That's actually not true. We do know there's a rage toggle.
Yeah, there was a separate rage toggle.
Is
Separate
there
from
now?
that.
Yep.
But what this is telling us is that you can set a specific handicap per character, unlike in the past where if you were doing handicaps,
It was across the board, right?
yeah, it was like, okay, player 1's handicap is 6, player 4's handicap is 9.
I
And
thought
like, it was per player.
They changed it.
But
in
yeah,
Smash 4.
but
Now I haven't seen an official
Smash 4.
cap
I think
on
that was
rage.
melee. That was melee. In Smash
yeah,
4,
that's how melee works. Are you saying
Smash 4? You do it in percent. So you start with 20% or 30%.
Yeah, but it was still based on like which player is picking the handicap
Yeah,
for which
sure.
player. In this, it's more like a house rule. Like, you know, you come to my house, I think Fox is the best character in the game, so I'm gonna have his handicap set to X, and that's gonna nerf Fox across the board, no matter who picks him. You know, and it's just something you can save in your default custom balance settings.
Oh, okay.
It's really based on the character. It's per character. It's not per player. So you can have somebody pick Fox, automatically get that handicap applied to them, and then the next game pick a different character, and the handicap goes away, and you don't have to go into the settings menu because it's something you would preset.
Well, I think that's convenient. I'm more curious to see now where this rage toggle is, if it exists, because I haven't seen any confirmation or straight denial of it.
We've
recall a
seen
menu
it
seeing
confirmed
it.
in the previous direct. It was shown on screen in the previous direct. I just don't know where in the menus.
No, that's the thing, is that they show the image. That's what I was alluding to, but they didn't show it turning on or off, and because they don't call it by rage, we don't know for certain if that changes.
Oh, I see what
rage.
you're saying. You're arguing that because we didn't see it there. It was shown in a menu in a previous direct, but I don't know which menu that is a submenu of. So, but it is there. We've seen the physical
Yeah.
switch go on and off.
All right.
So it is there, but
The question, or whether or not is that the rage toggle?
yeah, I mean, it's possible that it isn't anymore or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess we'll have to keep our eyes glued to the screen for that one, because I'm sure as soon as we can dig through these option menus, we're going to be taking notes.
Oh, absolutely.
Sure. Yeah.
So, I mean, the next big one is that we've now seen how hazard toggles affect stages. This is a toggle we know exists for sure. So hazard toggles allow you to turn off, obviously, hazards, things that are, causing you mischief on the stage. If there's a big boss character like the Yellow Devil, you can turn the hazard toggle off, and you can get a much more relaxed stage environment with more emphasis on good old-fashioned beat-em-up platforming, So we now have a good list of stages where this hazard toggle can apply and be useful for the competitive environment. So rather than have to speculate, we've seen now how it interacts with each stage. So let me read off a couple of interesting changes. So the first big one, and I'm not going to go through it. Let's do one by one. So Smashville and Town and City, those platforms don't move anymore. Instead, they have a default location where they're just fixed. For Smashville, it's in the center of the map. And for Town and City, where are they?
To my knowledge, the side platforms are at like a middling height, whereas the middle platform, if I remember correctly from the footage I had watched, it sits below. However, a
Below
lot of
it,
pictures do show that it sits above. So whichever one that is really that's the key evidence on whether or not the stage stays to any capacity or if it's gone. Because it's the difference of a stage of a platform being at like where we would see like Lilat kind of height,
Sure.
where it's like characters can reach it, but it's not that big of a deal. Or if the platform is just chilling near the blast zone.
Yeah, that's obviously a problem.
Which-
I mean, it could be really, really high up sometimes in the normal rotation on Town and City. So
Yeah.
if they choose a rotation point that's bad and it's just like top platform, side platforms are way out here, like that's obviously no good. Yeah, I'm a little worried about our friend Town and City, and I'm a little worried about Smashville. So the general consensus, I think, is that like you'd probably want to have hazards all either entirely on or entirely off.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something I want people to agree on. Like,
It's got to be entirely off.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine so, because that'll give us access to more stages. But when you do that, a stage like Smashville will change fundamentally. I think good, too.
Yeah, good. I don't want, like, that just gives too much bonus to fair planes running you off the side at 0.
Yep.
I've always posited that it's not a neutral stage. I've
Yep.
been consistent with that viewpoint, and now with the platform staying where it is, it's a little bit more fair of a stage.
Yeah, I think a stationary center platform is definitely good. I mean, come back to me when we talk about Yoshi's Brawl, because
I think Yoshi's Brawl is very much in the same line of thought as Smashville, because now the stages are sharing a similar property where they have one lone platform. They are just one lone stage. It's worth noting for Yoshi's Island Brawl, we know Blargwitch does not spawn on either side.
He's this guy.
Yeah, that's the tall dude.
If you know
What?
All right, so you
Yeah.
know the ghost that comes up on the sides?
Ghost
With
platform.
the platform.
Yeah, his name is Blargwitch.
That's his name.
They're in games.
Blargwitch.
Yes, he is Blargwitch.
So, but he has like a fan given name.
It's Randall.
It's like Randall Senior
Randall
or
Jr.
Randall Jr.
Yeah, I like that better.
Yeah,
Not
no, his name
Blargwitch.
is
You don't like
Blargwitch.
Blargwitch?
Randall
No.
Jr.
That's the official name of the ghost
Uh-uh.
that's on the
I will
platform.
only know him
No,
as
no.
Blargwitch.
Nuh-uh. No,
Randall
that's
Jr.
Randall.
So
This is
yes,
Randall.
he
Senior.
doesn't show up. Neither do the Shy Guys, and most importantly, the platform does not teeter.
Yeah.
It is stationary,
teetering.
and it stretches almost the entire length of the stage.
I think that's where the problem arises, but we'll get to that soon. So let's go through the next stage, because obviously Smashville and Town are big staples of the game, and the fact that they would change is a big deal. There's other smaller changes too, like Dreamland 64. Wispy does not cause any wind effect. You don't get pushed off. That's pretty nice.
Good.
Seems like a change that most people would agree to.
I really don't like Wispy.
Yeah,
I've never liked him.
I'm pretty sure that like he's only caused shenanigans that people. I don't know. I think he just
Wispy
kind
is a scumbag.
Yeah, he is.
He has the
really is.
RNG shield break factor where he could blow you off the platform if your opponent breaks your shield and you could get out of it,
Mhm.
which it's annoying.
It is. He's one of those things where sometimes a good game needs a small dose of RNG, and I think he's the right amount, because it's like it keeps the game interesting, possibly, and it gives people something to blame when they lose. It's like, oh, that was Wispy's fault, It kind of helps those less experienced players,
Not
shift the
blame
blame
themselves.
and
John,
keep
That's
on the grind.
That is the wildest reasoning to back
Instead
up
of
Wispy
getting
I've
No,
ever
but I mean,
heard.
just gonna
Not
show
that
R-
I'm pro
RNG
Wispy.
RNG in
Yeah,
games in
but-
general, I'm trying to back up. Like
Yeah.
you need the smallest dose, I think, is a healthy dose, but
Sure.
just enough where people can not beat themselves up.
Sure, yeah. Wispy I've never seen really do anything.
Yeah,
outside
exactly.
of
He
really
doesn't. He's not
specific
harmful enough
scenarios.
where he doesn't ruin the integrity of a tournament.
Right.
But he is there often enough where people can be like, "Oh, I lost that game because Wispy, not because I'm bad," and that's actually healthy to have. I think some people just need to vent and push to something else
guess.
sometimes.
You see
sometimes.
face counter
You can't
picks
do
to
it every-
Dreamland every set.
You can't do it every time, obviously, because then you're just bad. But
Sure.
once in a while, it's healthy. So the fact that he doesn't blow wind anymore is probably good. I'm not gonna lie, but just a little footnote. So Brinstar, not depth, it's just the regular old Brinstar. Interesting stage layout for sure. Was originally a counterpick stage in Melee. Eventually was removed just because it was loaded with shenanigans.
It's fleshy.
Yeah.
It is.
So
That's the best word.
the,
I've
hazard,
heard.
the hazardless version has no flesh.
No
you
flesh.
can't interact with those little blobs. You can't interact with the
flesh.
the stuff. The
Yeah.
stuff.
The flesh.
Whatever the hell that is. Alien ravioli? I
Exactly.
don't know.
Alien ravioli.
Something.
It doesn't have any hitbox. We've learned. It's not even just that it can't break. It's not
It's
going to
just
interact.
not. It's just not there.
Yeah, it's essentially
It's not part of the
a
background.
double platform. It's
Three
kinda-
platform.
Yeah, it's triplat.
It's a triplat.
It's a triplat, but that someone couldn't draw
people need to
correctly.
hold up on
Right.
using triplat to describe every stage.
It has three platforms. By definition, it's a triplat. Is it the triangular
No.
formation we were aware
Triplat is
of?
the triangular formation. 3 platforms is 3 platforms. That's going to be a big, stupid.
Sure. If we have to
mocking
make that
point.
differentiation, people often called Lilat, triplat stage when it's just a linear.
It's not wrong.
It's
It's a flat.
there are
It's a
three.
panini, whereas
Exactly.
the other is robust sandwich. That's how I describe it.
Super Smash Brothers
So
Panera.
I think Brinstar.
Don't get me
Obviously
started
we
on
didn't
Panera.
mention it doesn't have lava. That's important.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
acid
Yeah.
or whatever
That's
it
good
was.
too.
That's
That's the
kind of
real
important.
Does the giant sack in the background still wiggle?
I hope
Oh.
so.
Because
I think
that's
it's cool.
always entertaining.
There's
Yeah,
a
it is.
sack.
It is. Yeah.
I've never noticed there's a
never noticed
sack.
the sack.
Oh, it's there.
Never.
I mean, I'm not one to talk. I've also noticed there are some details missing in other stages.
It's very there. Once you see it, you can't unsee
I'm
it.
mad. I'm definitely going to notice
You
this.
can't
I-
miss it. It's just this giant sack in the background.
I will be
It's
sure
great.
to forget this as quick as I can.
You really can't miss it.
Moving on.
Yeah. So, so sorry. I was just reading the list. I couldn't find where I was. So-
One stage I want to bring up
Sure.
is one that's not really returning from too far long ago. WarioWare Inc.
No.
So that
No.
stage was in Smash for 3DS.
Yep.
We now know that without hazards, it just has no minigames, which makes sense. However, it's worth noting that people found that the blast zones for the stage are much closer to its 3DS iteration than its Brawl iteration. And what's noteworthy there, it's
Tiny.
small.
Yeah, it's
It
very
is
small.
very small. Like, it
One
could
of
be
those-
problematic.
It's got a toothpick through it.
So I mean, like
know what
I
I'm
know
talking
people
about.
people actually have the numbers, the data behind it. It's like negative 180 to positive 180. We don't know necessarily what that means in terms of this game's scaling, but if
Yeah.
it's similar to previous games, it's pretty small. Are small stages good to have? I think so. I think its layout is unique enough where I would sacrifice some.
In a game where nothing kills, though, that's going to be such a huge counterpick for the strong characters.
Sure. I mean,
So that's going to be an auto ban from half the cast.
yeah. I mean, like Jigglypuff's gonna have to ban it against Bowser. Like you don't want to die at 3.
Yeah.
It's gonna be one of those kinds of stages.
I think it's worth testing at the very least. It depends
sure.
on how egregious its blast zones are, because like if we're really killing people at 30 on the regular,
Crom F till kills at 70 or something.
yes, but Crom can't recover, so that's
Sure. I mean, Ganon F-Tilt's gonna kill.
I'm
us
just
at 60.
saying. Like that's going to be the back and forth on arguments
That's
like
just
that.
yeah, that's a stupid argument.
I mean, counterpicks are gonna offer characters advantages. That's just
Oh,
how
yeah,
counterpicks
of course.
Yeah, I was gonna say I just think it's good that we have like stages like this that have the blast zone variety.
Yeah.
Because it gives some characters an advantage because it basically takes options off the board that like say if I'm like we said the Bowser Jigglypuff.
Mhm.
Say I want to go to WarioWare, but like Town and City's also really like good for Bowser, so it's like like Jigglypuff might ban WarioWare, but I could still go to Town, so
Yeah.
I'd still have an advantage. You know?
Well, yeah.
Having counterpick stages that kind of force your hand is an interesting. That's kind of happening in Melee as well, where like Jigglypuffs pretty much have to auto ban Yoshi's, and then therefore they get counterpicked to Pokemon, which also has a low ceiling.
Yeah.
And then you get to play the game of like, well, maybe I can ban Pokemon instead, and then
It's like a pick your poison kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
scenario.
yeah.
Smash 4 is
And I
very
like
much
that-
like that as well.
yeah.
Well, I actually disagree to an extent. So I think as a newcomer to Smash 4, or at least the competitive scene, I feel like the stage almost never matters because almost all the blast zones are really similar.
Yeah.
Like maybe Town is a little lower, like whatever. Not even because it's really more the platform height that's causing early deaths off the top.
I'd be inclined to agree with that for the most part. There's some little differences when you get to matchups like, I
Yeah,
don't want
that's-
to deal with Battlefield. Really, it's do I want to deal with Battlefield or FD? And then Town and Smash Full is usually preference.
Yeah, I mean, but those are such like you can be very indifferent about stages in that game and do really well.
Fair enough.
You could probably random and be just as good of a player,
Yeah.
and sacrifice your ability to counterpick, and you probably wouldn't lose
You wouldn't
a
lose-
significant amount of matches that you would have won.
Sure.
So-
I'd agree to that. But in terms of, I think Wario would be fine if it was the only really small stage.
Right.
As long as there's one stage playing that role.
Yeah, there does need to be. Like, there needs to be
Yeah.
like Melee has its one small stage Yoshi's. So,
Yeah.
like, Project M had that problem for a while.
I don't want there to be too
There
many
was Yoshi's
stages.
Fountain, which people considered a small stage for some reason. And there was WarioWare. And eventually they had to limit it and get rid of one.
Yeah,
So I think they got rid of Yoshi's.
they're small in like platform layout, and then they're small in like blast zones, and everyone forgets that there's a difference.
Yes.
So when they mean
I mean, Yoshi's is small in both. WarioWare is
different.
kind of a
Small
big
and
platform layout, but a small blast zone stage. And then
I-
Fountain is a small
it's pretty
stage, big
small.
blast zone, at least vertically.
Yeah, I think one of the key pieces of information that we're going to need, at least in the competitive realm, is figuring out the X and Y values of
Yeah.
stages right out the gate.
Yeah.
Because knowing like how many we have at our disposal, if we only have WarioWare, then WarioWare exists as a necessary evil.
Sure.
But if we have like a pool of small stages to look at, then we can figure out like, is the quad platform layout worth it? Is any other stage worth using, or are none of them? It's definitely something to look at.
Yeah,
Okay.
as long as you play your niche. I don't want too many stages in Ultimate. Even if we could have 15 legal stages, I would rather have 7 or 8.
Sure. And
At-
we'll get to that.
at
We're going to
most.
have a talk
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
end of this where
we
we're
go,
going to
yeah.
kind of look at and see what we think is best for like an overall stage list. But
Sure,
first,
yeah.
let's get through the rest of these. So Yoshi's story. No more Randall. That's a kind of a big deal. No Shy Guys. That's whatever.
Sad.
But no
boys.
Randall is
I'm
super
gonna miss
sad.
Randall.
Well,
Top 10 Randall shenanigans.
Randall's one of those things where it's like, it was random unless
goodness.
you had a good understanding of the timing of the platform.
Yeah.
Like,
So not random. It's the
yeah, it's,
Yeah,
it's not
he's-
random
he's on a
unless
fixed
you
timer.
are unaware.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with Lilat's tilting, where it's not random. It's just determinate on the background of the ship flying through
yeah.
shit.
No, yeah.
Which is like,
But the timer's a lot easier to manage.
yes.
It's RNG if you're ignorant to it, you know?
very true.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's gone. And I would also posit Shy Guys being gone is a good thing, too, because
Yeah,
they
yeah,
could
yeah.
lead to potential hitbox extension shenanigans.
I don't
which-
think anyone ever really liked Shy Guys, but I do think people have a genuine affinity for Randall. I think he can.
Randall
cause
has a name.
interesting. Yeah, he has a name.
Randall has a
He's
name.
in an interesting. He's. I don't know. He creates like some sort of interesting offstage silliness.
He creates
and
the hype.
Yeah, he really does. He
I think it
saves
calls
people
back
when
to
they
that
should be dead.
RNG that you were talking
the
about.
We live in hype.
I think it calls back to like that RNG that you
Yeah,
were
yeah,
talking about with
it's the same
Dreamland.
thing.
Exactly. It's almost better because it's really not random, but it's like that darn Randall. You know, it's like it's his fault. It's a person with a name, and you
It's
can blame
not
him.
my fault.
Yeah, it's like frick Randall.
Or
you know?
thanks, Randall. you're
Yeah,
the man.
Randall saved me that
But
time.
if
you know?
if we do play with hazards off, they would be present. So
Correct. And you know, things like him and things like Smashville platform moving, I think, are going to be the two things that really push people to want hazards on potentially. So you know, we'll have to
Yeah.
keep an eye out for that.
Mhm.
Next stage to discuss. We already discussed Wario. The Fountain of Dreams, classic melee stage,
Sure.
excellent stage, I think.
Really good music.
It's got great. Kirby music's always good. So
Yeah.
and we're gonna have potentially more of it if the stage is legal. The platforms now with hazards off won't move heights on the sides. Excuse me.
What's
And to
the
that matter,
point?
they won't disappear.
That's right. Because they do retreat to like a 0 height where they're in the ground with hazards on, and now with hazards off, they won't. So that's pretty significant. I don't know if it's worth like freaking out about, but you know, they didn't move very rapidly or anything.
I think that falls into the Randall like boat, I guess we can call it, like how it even if it is RNG, like you can use it to your advantage and like it could be more beneficial to use
Yeah.
it than to not have it.
I think being able to improvise on the spot is part of Melee or part of Smash and part of all
Sure.
these things. And,
Yeah.
you know, taking away some of the variation in the game can cause for some stale gameplay. I think if we just end up with 5 stages that just don't move, they're just rigid and every game's going to kind of feel the same. But, you know, when things are more dynamic, it forces improvisation and it separates the good players from the bad players, the ones that are able to think on their feet
Sure.
versus the ones that can't, you know? I don't know.
I think it's the same reasoning why Pokemon Stadium hasn't been banned in Melee. Like the game's been out for how long, and this stage, which it is broken technically because you could go through it during certain portions of the transformations and stuff.
Yeah.
But like
But people still like it
exactly, so
because the changes are fun.
I would
Kind of.
advocate for it actually being legal at that point. If we're not swamped with stages already, it
Right.
would be a fun variation to have. I think.
So obviously, PlayStation 2,
My
PlayStation
favorite
2.
stage.
Pokemon Stadium and Pokemon Stadium 2, they don't transform. So that's a good transition. So the fact that it's not actually going to change, I mean, that starting layout on Pokemon Stadium.
That calls to the dream of many Smashers. A lot of people have stated the fact that Stadium Frozen is like the stage.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
like the calling
Dual
card of
plat.
PM. That's one of the
Yeah.
better
PS2
transitions of
is-
Pokemon. It's good. And for what it's worth, Pokemon Stadium 2 doesn't obscure its ledge.
Yes. So that's.
So I think if we had to
that's
choose
good.
one of
I
the
think
other.
Pokemon Stadium 1 just kind of needs to be like dismissed.
Yeah.
PS2 is the superior stage, at least in terms of platform layout, if given that they're frozen. So, I mean, in a non-frozen world, PS1's probably the only option.
Yeah.
Yeah, PS2 can get a bit iffy.
There's like those gusts of wind and I. It's
I'm not gonna lie.
You don't
yeah.
like playing slow, floaty areas?
No, no thanks. So yeah, like that's gonna be a stages in the rotation for sure, with it being frozen. I don't know why Brinstar Depths is on here, Frank.
Like I said, I had also noticed things in the stage.
Would you like to tell the class?
I would like to share with the class an unnecessary change.
Go ahead.
Kraid doesn't have nipples.
When only with hazards off.
No, just in general.
Oh, okay.
It's gonna only has
Can you
No,
imagine?
Yes, I can.
For what it's worth, just while it's the topic is
That'd
at
be
hand,
fun.
Brainstar Deaths does not have Kraid.
Sure.
He's just gone. He
What's
dipped.
it- what's it
Samus,
do?
he's dead.
What's it do?
So the stage doesn't rotate.
With hazards off.
Yes, with hazards off, stage doesn't rotate, meaning it just has an incredibly odd layout, but that's all it has. Because you don't actually go low enough to touch the lava, you just die
Are there
at that point.
ledges? Like, can you,
You-
grab the ledge?
Presumably it's like Melee, where you could grab some of the ledges.
No,
You
there's
could-
there's no ledges on that stage in Melee.
when it rotates, there's...
Nope.
No, there's no
There's
ledges.
nothing you can
No.
grab.
I can remember grabbing one. Maybe it's like the sphere thing.
Possible,
Because
but
the sphere thing is there. It's like the only thing
No
that you
idea
can
what
see.
you're
The,
talking about.
the point is that the stage can be a very fun stage
yes,
with the absence of Kraid.
it's very unusual, unique layout, and if it doesn't have like a cave of life in it, then
Which
I
it
could-
doesn't.
I could
It's
see-
like
I could
there's
see it.
in one rotation a ceiling, I guess, but like
But if that's not the default rotation and it doesn't rotate, then it could be good. I don't know.
could be interesting to say.
Worth noting. Definitely one that we'll have to check out
Yeah,
briefly.
sure.
I'm sure it'll be dismissed
Very
immediately,
cool.
or
Oh yeah, it's not seeing much play, but
So we already talked about WarioWare, which means the next thing I'd like to discuss is Yoshi's Island Brawl, which again we also kind of briefly mentioned, but
no Blarg Witch.
I think
No.
the stage gotta go.
Yeah, why?
So the stage is like bent in half, you know.
It's nicely
It's like
bent.
it's like
It is not Leblé.
It
It
is.
is not Leblé. It has a
is.
similar bend to Dreamland 64, which there is a bend to Dreamland 64.
No.
There is. It is not a flat plane.
What?
There's
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
What are you
no,
talking about?
that's real. That's real. You can't
By
jab
like
block.
what, 1 pixel?
You can't
No.
jab block in one direction. I forget which one it was. But like jabs don't jab block in one.
So is
direction.
it just a slight decline?
Yes,
Uh-huh.
there's an incredibly slight decline, but because there is a decline at all, like it messes with a lot of things in Smash 4.
That's a
Okay.
real thing. It's a real
But-
thing.
That's very different than it being like
Sure.
But it's not blah blah. It just inclines at one point.
it's
a curly
pretty bad
bracket.
in the middle.
It's a
I
curly
think.
bracket.
It's-
No, it's flat in the middle. No.
No, it's the middle. It dips down, and then
Oh.
it kind of pulls up near the sides, and then it dips down again. It's like an M.
I don't think it's that drastic though, to the point where it would be like bad. I think the stage itself is fine.
So the bottom platform isn't where things end, though. I mean, obviously the
It's got
ledges.
walls, yeah.
So it has walls. Those are okay.
I think there's a
The-
merit to pillared stages we can discuss later.
Me too.
Can you say walled, please?
Pillared.
No.
So it has the
Shadow Moses is walled.
They're big walls.
They are big
They're also
walls.
2 pillars.
They're big pillars,
You could just
actually.
say it's
Shoot.
pillars.
Anyway,
That's how they
the
work.
ledges are weird because they dip down and you grab at the bottom of the dip, and it's like nobody really likes the dip on Yoshi's, and that's like a pretty modest decline. These are like,
Oh,
very
yeah, I
sharp,
know what you're talking about now. Yeah.
kind of weird to deal with, and
Stage is made of cardboard.
short characters can
That
just
is
kind of
true.
crouch over near the ledge like Kirby, just
That
and then
sounds fun.
fun.
Down
It's
tilt.
all right.
fun.
I'll remember that.
I will remember that.
You play Kirby. Wait a second. Wait a second.
This is rigged.
All right, and then the big all these things are mild inconveniences. I think the biggest problem is that platform layout is very, very odd. It's one big platform that covers, I'd say, 95% of the entire span of
It's
the
not
stage.
that
I'd
large.
say like 65 at best.
Oh no,
No, it's not that large
I
in
just looked at a
Ultimate.
picture.
it's big. It's very big.
It's smaller in Ultimate.
Maybe.
In Brawl, it was quite large. Also, remember that because it teetered from one side to the other, it was always covering most of the stage.
Yoshi's
It would make
Brawl.
a cover last.
I need to look at this picture
Yeah.
because like
It's-
I'm pretty sure it covers like the whole thing, and it's just awkward, you know.
I think there's some merit to it. It's very reminiscent of Rich. What's the stage in Rivals of Aether? that has like one.
It's something hideout. I think it's called like
The
like
Flame
Flame Hideout.
Yeah,
I,
the Flame
I
Hideout.
despise that stage. It's just
The stage is gross, but it is a stage that exists as reference. In Rivals of
Sadly.
Aether, there's a stage that it is a pillar. It has one long platform. That's it. And I feel like that's the
walled
kind of
stage.
merit that it's going to give us.
So, all right, I did check out a picture. It's not as big as I remember, but it's still pretty large.
Oh, yeah,
I'd
it's
say
big. It's a big
about
boy.
65% of the stage, like you said. However, it kind of begs the question if Smashville is going to be the same exact layout, but the floor is flat. You know, it's not playing bad Yoshi's music. You know,
Ooh, okay.
I'm just throwing that in there.
I
for
mean,
fun.
I
Let the
might
record show that you have a preference of something less than Smash. Than
Smashville doesn't have good
than
music
Smashville's
either.
Animal Crossing music's dope. You're
Animal Crossing
whack.
music is good. Smashville had bad Animal Crossing music though.
Yes, it did.
Animal Crossing music is not good Smash.
All right,
music.
all right, all right. Neither of the stages have good music. We'll
Agree. I'll
Whack.
agree. I'll agree.
Anyway, Smashville just seems like a better Yoshi's Brawl because it has a flat plane. The platform doesn't take up like an egregious amount of space, and it's not. The ledges are like normal.
Yeah,
So,
you
like,
can't have both.
Yeah, you really
Can't
can't.
have both.
Yes,
There's no reason to have both.
I would agree with that statement. And to add on to it, in like a hypothetical situation where you rotate out the stages,
Dumb.
Yeah, we'll get to that at the end. But
Yeah.
I think that they could easily be rotating.
I think
for
like they
one
would fit the same role
Sure.
in like a seasonal stage list where there wouldn't be no reason to have them back to back. It's like having Battlefield and Dreamland in Smash 4.
Sure.
They're filling the same role, but they have very clear differences.
All right, so we definitely spent too much time on Yoshi's Brawl. Sorry, guys.
It's a good stage.
No.
No Blargwitch, though.
No Blugwitch. Very
Lilat
sad.
does not tilt. It doesn't tilt, guys. We did it.
It's still angled, and people will complain about
People
that.
really hate angles. It's alarming and
So-
disconcerting.
I mean, I'm not going to be a hypocrite here. Like, the angles are bad generally in most cases.
Sure. You can have one angle,
Yeah, like
like the Lilat.
Lilat's angles are, I'd say, modest, at least more than I think on Yoshi's Brawl with the ledges, which go off pretty sharp.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I could see why people are a little upset. The platform layout has always been a little weird, you know. But at least it doesn't tilt.
It's just a Panini battlefield.
Yeah, it really is a Panini battlefield.
My only concern with the stage is if characters that have to teleport, if they're allowed to teleport now, like properly.
That's their punishment for having good recovery.
I mean, I guess,
You
but
have to be
also
good at
they
it.
should be allowed to aim at the stage and land on the stage. I feel like that's at least a base that they should hit. Because I'm not
Fair
sure how
enough.
aware you are of this, but on Lilac Cruise, the thrusters that are towards the center, they mess around with the collision of the stage itself.
There's like some imaginary grab box, and like I've seen videos of like somebody getting hit in the middle of the stage, and then they like teleport to the behind them in the blast.
yeah, there's collision that's kind of strange, and the teleporting characters
I'm-
get the worst of it.
Again, there's no point in speculating about the stage if we're gonna just assume it's broken. I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt until we play the game and assume that shit is fixed. Please.
All I know is that the second someone finds something wrong with that, our boy Max Ketchum is popping off.
Yeah.
We're banning that.
He's already got the gun loaded for that
Lilat's
stage.
fine. Ledge grab limit is
Yes.
good.
Bless the
Mo
ledge
in
grab
the
limit.
chat, how's it going, Mo?
We are lit
There's a
with that.
real ledge grab limit. We're gonna get to that after these stages, but actually, we might as well just do it now.
Yeah.
If you grab the ledge 5 times, you're done.
Good.
No
Lit.
grabbing the ledge. You
There
play
should
it
be
like
no
John
John.
Numbers
reason.
is done for.
If you get if you get ledge trap
didn't
5
think of
times in
that.
a row, you deserve to die.
So what I don't know is if you can get hit in between those 5 times. Is it just like grab, release, grab, release, grab, release, grab, release, dead?
It's probably that.
Because if I'm getting hit 5 times genuinely and I'm just doing a good job of living, do I deserve to get punished for this?
I think
Probably.
it's this. It's treated the same way as the current rule is in Smash 4, where it's like it's a specific amount of frames. If I remember correctly, it's 55, where like you have that amount of frames to be on the ledge with iframes, and when you let go, like say for instance, you grab the ledge and let go immediately, you lose X amount of frames, X being the frames that you were on the ledge, and then once you dissipate those frames, you don't have that invincibility, and then past that point, you don't get to just grab the ledge again. There are certain characters who just can't re-grab over and over.
Yeah.
Now, with that being a universal rule, I want to believe it's the same way, where if you just keep on getting ledge guarded, eventually, like,
It might be if you're just trying to purposely stall. If you get hit,
That's
stuff
what I'm
like that,
thinking it
usually
is.
recess.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do more research on this one, and we'll come back to this next week. But
It's a good
video
thing.
on the tutorial. I'll have to take a look
They definitely
that video.
saw Hungrybox ledge stalling in Melee and put that rule in.
Sure.
Or looked
Or
at
Mewtwo
any
King,
footage of
or
late,
any Melee,
late brawl.
really.
Yep.
Late Brawl.
Late
We
Brawl had
Fit-
ledge grab
Wii
limits.
Fit is gonna be bottom 2 in this game.
They
It's
buffed
gonna
a good
be-
amount of her. I don't think she's going to be that bad. I think John Numbers is going to have a little bit of time adjusting. But
John
Yeah,
Numbers
yeah.
had a
He'll have to
A
find
lot
a
of
new,
little
a
time
new
to
neutral
adjust.
tool.
John Numbers had a pretty good run with the bottom 15, 10, whatever.
that is
character.
very true.
So
All right. So moving on. So we have Lilac doesn't tilt. Great. That's obviously just a generally great thing.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, the tilting was
Wonderful
strange.
Castle Siege, this is obviously amazing. Doesn't transform, and
Yeah.
you just get that starting layout, that good layout. That
but it has
real
an
good
angle,
layout.
and you like it.
So it does have an angle, and I do like it. But here's why.
It's a good angle.
It's one of those good angles.
Good.
Uh,
I see.
so no, I think that the stage could be better without an angle, but there's no way to achieve what the stage does without having some sort of way to get from low to high. And the thing that it does is it has an asymmetrical design. You know, one part of the stage has the high ground, one is the low ground. Unfortunately, you need a way to get there, so you have this incline. But I think having asymmetrical stage could be really interesting for characters that might have better attack advantages from above or from below or
Sure.
whatever. I think that's really unique. You know, angles are problems, though. Like, you could have a short character squatting on the left side where it's low, and a high character trying to shoot projectiles and just can't get to
Well,
them.
projectiles would ban it, and that's fine.
Ban projectiles?
No, ban that stage.
No. Well, yeah,
Yeah,
the
that's
character
it.
who doesn't want to get camped out on that stage would have to ban it. And I
Which
think
is
that's
fine.
just an okay reality
You
to
can
live in,
ban
right?
it, yeah.
Also,
Yeah,
for
it's
for what it's worth noting, at least from the footage I've seen, because Castle Siege come up a couple of times in the Spanish material, it seems bigger than in Smash 4.
That's
Good.
That's a
'cause
good
that was
point.
a tiny stage.
It
the,
was
re-
pretty
the
small.
real problem with that stage, I think, the PM community originally had it around for like a short time, but they got rid of it real fast because it was so small. It's just cramped, and so like it was one of the smallest stages in the game at that point. So if it's a little bit bigger, I think that's a good change.
Sure. I like it. It's got good music.
Yes, Fire Emblem will have a stage in
OD.
competitive play.
Yeah,
it's
it-
finally time.
Speaking of, we have Arena Ferox.
My
Oh, I
favorite.
forgot about
I
that
can't
one.
My
wait.
child.
I can't wait.
We'll have okay music.
I think this is the stage that we're all most excited for.
It shares all the Fire Emblem music.
Don't
The
don't
waited-
lump me into that all.
Oh, you don't like it?
I don't know anything about it.
Okay.
I saw a picture of it. It looks okay.
So it's definitely a weird stage layout. So it's a 3-platform stage, but it's
Thank
kind of.
They're all like
Yeah, yeah,
tilted and weird angles stuff.
They have a very
Right.
slight tilt to them. But I think the weirdest fact is that two of them are on top of each other, one's just chilling.
Again, an asymmetrical design, and that's why I'm a big fan of it. You can have different reasons to be on one side of the stage versus the other, you know, and you actually will have to think about stage positioning consciously rather than center stage is better than not. Now
yeah.
it's like maybe I don't want to be in the center. I want to
Sure.
be on the right because the
Sure.
right has better survivability or something. I think that's really cool. Yeah, we'll just have to see how weird those platforms are
Yeah.
because they are angled.
And I noticed there were a couple ones. I think the Mario one was like that. So those two
Yes.
would fill the same role or same-ish role.
Yeah, I didn't have that on the list, but Super Mario U, fairly large stage, so maybe it'll
that
be
might
one of those
be good
doubles.
for doubles or triples.
A doubles only stage, perhaps. I think it could even be a single stage, depending. Just
Depends
gotta-
on how big it is. Because in Smash 4, it's fairly large,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like serviceably large. It's like Battlefield in that aspect.
Yeah. So we'll take a look at that one too, but it also has a unique angled platform kind of layout that isn't the standard 3 platforms.
Sure. Yeah.
So the next one on the list, I'll need some more details from you, but the Find Me stage.
No.
We're doing.
All right, good talk, Zone. So, Find Me is a really weird stage. It's from 3DS. It's returning from that game. It has one base platform, and then it has and I would definitely say pillar for this one because it's just
Walls.
another. No, not even walls. It's just another pillar. It's just off to the side.
Oh.
It's kind of like Saffron City, where there's just
Can
like
you wall jump?
another thing over there.
Yes.
You can wall jump?
Oh,
No.
it's really
Out.
low to the blast zone. If it stays the same as 3DS, it's not where like you're saving yourself with multiple wall jumps.
Yeah, it's not like Saffron where it's like this entire channel of
Yeah.
in between these two pillars. It is very much lower to the blast zone.
Of course, the thing that people remember the stage for is two more key aspects of it. One being the Dark Lord, which is the boss of that stage.
The Dark Lord.
That's its name. The big dragon booger thing.
on the
it's
Find
a-
Me stage.
The
his-
Dark Lord.
his name
the
was the
Find
Dark
Me.
Lord.
Yes.
We're not playing on the stage.
he doesn't show up in Hazardless,
refuse.
thankfully. And the part that I'm most interested about it is the cage that hangs in the middle of it. There's a very small cage that acts as a platform you could stand on, and it's a ceiling when it's below. Now, with the hazards on, the cage like swings, which is very, very strange as it is. Without the Dark Lord to interact with it, then it's just a pillar.
Can people hit the cage?
I have not seen it. I've not seen the
That'd be pretty
characters
dope.
interact with it,
I really
just
hope-
like the hazards interact with it.
Team combos with the cage.
Could be cool. As soon as that cage starts swinging, though, I'm banning that.
I would
that's-
agree. I would agree. If the
That's
thing
some wacky-
swings and then
wacky
it has
wall.
a ceiling that could be anywhere, then absolutely not. But if it's an incredibly small ceiling, I think it would be the first time we could see a stage with any ceiling in competitive play. Because one, it's so small that it's not going to like save your life unless you're DIing specifically into it.
Which
Right,
I
right.
would
And
if it existed.
and there's
Of course, you
enough
gotta go for what you can.
and there's enough
Yeah.
flat ground on both sides of it that you're not entering safe space if you're hitting the ground and then not taking that. The platform at the top could potentially be circle camped or not because it's like a character length.
You could chill up there for sure and parry stuff as you see fit.
It's possible. But I think it's definitely something worth testing because it has a very strange asymmetrical layout with a feature that we don't get to see in competitive play because
Which
every
is
other
yeah, a
instance we see it
a
is.
separate area of two, a stage over here and then another stage over here, like kind of like a Jungle Japes kind of thing. Like
Yes,
I
although
always really like those stages where you can fall in between the stage, but they never seem to end up being legal for one reason or another.
well, with Jungle Japes, the rock is like off to the
no,
side.
Japes is the one with the river that passes underneath.
Oh yeah, if not for the water, that stage
Oh,
would
the
do.
water.
Yeah,
Which we can
as a-
confirm.
As a side note, yeah, Jungle Japes Hazardless has no claptrap, but it does have water, and the water is obnoxious, so probably
Yeah,
not
we're
good.
definitely gonna stay away from that one.
Unfortunate,
It was
but
never a fun stage to play on.
guys, we might be
Oh,
listening to
no.
Zelda music in a competitive environment
That'd be incredible. What we got?
because the Skyloft stage
Right,
does
right,
not
right.
transition, and
I like it.
unfortunately, it's. I really wish it was the new Zelda stage that we got.
Yeah.
This stage is
None of the
whack.
new stages are going to be
It's-
tournament legal. It's such a pain.
There's maybe some of the new DLC ones, unless they
Hope-
go over
I
the
hope so.
top. Like,
Well,
they
Dracula's Castle Battlefield is going to be used in this venue. I will fight to the
I
death
mean, I
for
won't
that.
use
You
it.
don't have to. I'll
All right,
I'll
well,
make sure.
I mean, of course we can listen to any stage music because they're all Battlefield and FD potentially.
But yeah,
There
the rest
might
of
be
I
them,
mean,
1%
Skyloft-
blaststone differences.
they do have plus.
Return of that.
Whatever.
I need to get Sean S back.
But yeah,
Oh,
New
no.
Donk City, terrible.
Mhm.
Great Plateau, even more terrible. I'm actually very happy for Zelda fans like you to get Skyloft that isn't garbage.
Zelda fans like normal people, you mean?
yeah. Are you not a Zelda fan?
He's not.
No. We've had this talk. I'm the only person on the entire Aeon staff that doesn't really
Punk
like.
Doctor doesn't like Zelda either, and that's an issue.
Right, we actually talked about
Is,
this
is,
yesterday.
Um,
it, is, it, is now a
and
good
the-
time to come out as a non-Zelda fan?
No,
No.
not while you're surrounded by them.
No.
Come on.
I don't get it either. I don't get it either.
Moray Towers is like the most egregious stage they could have came out with that doesn't have hazards.
That was
That's the Splatoon one. That was. I even joked about this years ago, where when I said that the Inklings would be playable, they would get Moray Towers. This is the most hated stage in Splatoon,
It really
Oh.
is.
and now it's hated in Smash
It
because
really
it's
sucks.
terrible.
Especially even that, yeah, we hate it. Good.
I can't even imagine casuals liking that stage. It looks jank.
It's bad.
Uh,
And then Dracula's Castle is kind of weird.
Yeah.
It's got to walk off.
So-
and
It's got Dracula.
it
just
does have
just a
stuff.
quickly note: Skyloft has 2 shallow angled platforms, and I think that's it, right? Is
No,
there a
it-
top?
and then
No,
it
there's
has a
top.
platform that can.
It's like a
It's like Lilat,
It's like a
but
pyramid-
not in
pyramid.
space and
Right.
not angled.
Like
Almost in
also
space.
different, and also
It's in like the stratosphere or
I
something.
guess it's harder to
I don't
breathe.
know, I don't think there's oxygen up there. It's gotta be a little lower
Easier to
than
breathe
that.
than space.
Yes.
Confirmed.
Can agree.
So
M science.
the old Skyloft stage, the bottom of the stage, the base platform, you could come up through it underneath without having to go like to the ledge and up and around. So you could shark through it. You know, you can do classic brawl. I mean, it wasn't in brawl, but you could do classic like up air, poke through the bottom of the stage kind of stuff. That's concerning and
Sure.
a potential reason to, knock this stage out. But I think testing is required.
Given the ledge mechanics, which is just Smash 4 plus,
Yeah.
I think it is worth testing a lot because you can only do so many reps of
You can only do
sharking
5,
before
yeah.
it's like a big threat.
Mhm.
And then
and you can dare him through the stage. if you're good.
That's
if you got an
equally
option.
problematic potentially. People that could be either a good thing because it's unique and interesting, or it could be jank and I'm dying at 0 because I got Captain Falcon down aired.
I won't be opposed to that. You deserved it if you tried to recover like that.
Maybe. I mean, it's an interesting dynamic. I'd like to see. I don't know. What do you think?
It could go either way. I think it does have to go through the testing stage first before we really decide.
I'm for it.
On the note of sharking, much as Brawl has mentioned, and Halberd was definitely the stage to showcase that
Yeah.
alongside Delfino. Delfino has transitions, I believe. It's very strange that it does, but it has its own like platform the whole way.
Yep.
Halberd does not have combo cannon, which that's the thing that tries to actively kill you.
Yes.
But the stage still goes through its reps. It starts in the hangar, lifts off into the platform, ends at the bow of the ship, and does it all over again. Just no arm, laser, or ball to actively ruin your fun.
So, but they all still transform, which leaves Skyloft the only transforming stage or transitioning stage, travel stage, let's call it, that doesn't travel. Interesting choice, right?
I like it.
There's 2 others in Hazard's Soft that we know. So Prism Tower, which is Skyloft, but no platforms and Pokemon now.
It's
which
just an FD that doesn't.
Yeah, it's just thin
Oh.
FD, which I don't think is necessary. Unless
Agreed.
there are platforms that are present, but then I haven't seen them and they just mend into the background too easily. Or New Donk City, which could be much the same thing. At least with Skylift, we know it's Legend of Zelda, and we know its platforms exist, work well, and could be nice. Could be a very good change of pace.
I'm kind of hoping New Donk City doesn't.
I'm not going to lie. I'm very upset with how they made New Donk City.
I just don't want to listen to Jump Up Superstar
Y'all wanna
in tournament
start?
setting.
I agree.
Donk City.
I agree.
Anyway, all right.
Could have
so
done better.
I don't want to listen to the side note. I want to listen to the Smash Ultimate song they put in the trailer at the end. In tournament
Yeah,
play.
I also
Lifeline?
don't. I don't
Oh,
hear that
that's
song
that's
ever again.
definitely going to stay to like the opening of the game, the opening
I
of
can see
the-
that in the song in Battlefield.
Probably
for
have to
some
unlock
reason.
it.
Sure. I still want you can put any song on any stage, but they won't.
I know that
So
that song
close.
is very popular right now on the internet. Like, so many people are like in love with that song.
Because it's an anime opening.
Why couldn't it be in Latin like Brawl? It was
I'm
great.
actually glad it's in English and Japanese for what that's worth.
I honestly think it sounds. Trevor, close your ears. I think it sounds better in Japanese.
Ooh,
Wow.
I haven't listened to it
so,
because I
Face, are you
don't
a
want
weeb?
to.
I
You're
am
definitely
not,
a weeb.
but
Am I?
I have to
Yeah.
say
I'm
it
choosing.
sounded really good. Because I can't understand the words and I can't hear how cheesy they are.
I'd rather Latin,
Yeah.
so I don't have to be a weeb.
Right.
See, as someone who
That's-
understands Latin, then
Agreed.
it's like
agreed.
then I know how cheesy the brawl.
Well, I understand some words in Latin, but not enough to get a real meaning from the song.
All right. We've only got a few more stages to go through. Let's talk about Kalos, the Kalos League stage. It's like PS2.
But why?
It's
This is
thicker
It's a Pokemon stage.
and bluer.
Extra
much
thick.
bluer.
Yep.
We like blue in this building.
We do
Blue's a
like
good
blue in this
color.
building.
Blue's a good color.
It's going to have the same music as PS2 options, I assume.
Yes.
But
Probably
I believe the
different.
platform layout is slightly different, so hard to
It's-
visualize. But
they're on the
you,
edge.
you kind of take the platforms and you pull them apart.
Yes, they hang off the ledge.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I think it's weird.
So yeah, that's definitely a stage where we're going to be trying out for sure. Seems like a nice, good old Smash Bros. Stage.
Yeah.
Um,
It's pretty safe.
So last note I have on here is that the battlefield forms, we were just mentioning this, battlefield forms have actual different blast zones. Probably need to test and see which ones are realistic because
Counterpick
maybe
you.
Battlefield WarioWare has very tiny blast zones and thus you can't use it as a legitimate battlefield option because it's too dumb.
Too spooky.
Yeah.
Too spooky.
If platform, I think it's the same case for Town and City, where it's like if platforms are putting you too close to a blast zone, then we need to just axe that right then and there.
Yeah, sure.
There's no reason to actively give someone the ability to die at 30.
Sure. Other
So
than
that's-
playing Crom.
So that's all I got for stages to run through. That's a lot of data to pour over. Obviously, we don't have the games in our hand yet, but we've
And that's
seen
still not
so
even
much.
every stage.
I know there's still so much more. It's really going to be fun deciding which stages are tournament legal and which ones aren't. And
Oh, we calling
being
that
able to-
fun?
Are you
I
sure
think
that's
so.
the fun
It's
part
fun
of
to
the game?
speculate, not to
Are you
actually
sure
like
that's the fun
it's
part of the
deliberate
game?
and decide.
Gonna
It's
be
like
making the
fun
stage
in the
list?
sense that like doing science experiments is fun. It's like I don't
Sure,
know what's
that's
going to
true.
happen. I get to test stages, literally getting deep dive into the
Chernobyl was
lab.
tons of fun.
And
Also, not an experiment, just a problem.
I don't think getting everyone on board will be fun.
No.
With some good leadership, we can do it. But like,
Hard.
it'll be tough.
There's definitely going to be a lot of.
I want this. I want this. You're dumb.
We're
You're
going to
dumber.
lose a lot of
That's how it's gonna
fun
go.
along the way.
That will be true. So here's my proposition, and we were discussing this earlier. Frank and I definitely both want and Trevor can take a lot of the credit for this idea too. We would like a seasonal rotation of stages.
Ooh, I
So-
really like the sound of that idea.
So what if every season has 5 stages, a tri-plat, a FD, a 3-plat, a 2-plat, and a 1-plat. So
Oh my god, that's the weirdest thing I've ever heard.
I'm
So-
going to posit we switch one with X-Plat.
Can you
so
stop
we
saying
could, like,
posit?
Can you stop?
Okay. You need to stop because I'm sure there's someone listening that doesn't know what you're saying.
they should open a book.
They should.
Dang.
They should.
Good old dictionary.com.
I would say X-Plat instead of just one plat, because what if we have something that has like multiple platforms, like say for instance WarioWare, or something that has like a very strange platform layout?
Sure.
What if we get a 7-plat layout? Ooh.
I mean, it's all
I
possible,
don't even
but
want to see 7 platforms.
I'm not. I wasn't
Just
saying that
randomly.
as like the
Just like a
literal every
pollock
rotation
painting.
needs. I wasn't saying every rotation needs exactly that. What I was saying is that like every seasonal rotation will have a variety of stages.
Yeah.
So
I
let-
see what you're saying. Yeah,
hypothetically, right? Season 1, right? The game just comes out. Battlefield and FD, easy picks, right? And then we do. So we have a tri-plat, we have a no plat, and then we do Smashville with
Yeah. 1-plat.
no hazards. Let's assume all no hazards, right? So
Sure.
we'll do a Smashville. We'll do what else? Let's say Arena Ferox. That's a 3-plat. That's weird, and then PS2, right?
Sure.
It's a nice good old 5-stage selection, and then the following season, maybe 4 months later or something like that, we could do, Skyloft, WarioWare. That's a 3-plat. That's a unique
4.
stage.
Weird plat.
It has
Castle
4
Siege is
countable
2
numbers.
stages, 2 platforms. We could mix it up and just have a different selection of stages for the next couple
Yeah.
of months. That way, everybody kind of gets a little bit of everything,
I
and we get to test.
I think if you kept a core, I don't like the idea as it is because I think that's a lot of variation, a lot of weird, pointless stuff. I think if you kept a core of maybe, I don't know, 3-4 stages, Battlefield staying, FD staying,
Right.
Smashville staying,
Sure. And then,
and then switch the weird guys out.
for my example, I said that it had to be a season of 5 stages. But what if it was 7 with Battlefield and FD always sticking around?
Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah.
That seems reasonable.
I think that would be the way to do it.
Because you can't
if it
can't
had to be
replace
done.
FD.
Yeah,
There's
there's-
nothing that's going to replace that.
Well, there's technically new hazardless stages that can do it. So Umbra Tower or whatever it's called.
Umbra Clock Tower
Um,
is technically the same. I think it's the same exact.
It's the same,
dimensions.
but
and you were
worse.
mentioning Pokemon stage that has no platforms. What was it called?
Kalos
Oh,
League.
Kalos League. If it doesn't have a walk-off, then yeah, it doesn't do anything.
No, the one that doesn't
Not
travel.
Kalos
The
League.
traveling stage.
Prism
Oh, Prism.
Tower.
Prism.
Prism Tower.
Which-
Yeah.
Yeah, I
That's
guess
a
it's
theoretical FD replacement,
right.
So maybe those stages don't necessarily have to stick around because they do have stages that are similar
I
enough
don't
to
know. I think that can be
fill
throw
roles.
the problem for newer players. Like, oh, I just learned how to play on these stages and now they're gone.
Sure.
I don't think they like that. So as long as you like, I think there's enough. I'd rather have just throwing out numbers 5 stages where 2 or 3 change each every 6 months or whatever you want to
Okay.
say, rather than switching everything because I think there's enough stages and I'd rather have that over 13 stages or 10 stages because that's
Yeah, I think 10 should be the absolute extreme of stage list even goes. And
I'd
even
say
that, I
8.
think
You would
is
want
like,
9 actually,
I'd
just
say-
because it has to be an odd number for striking purposes.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
I maybe there's a core 5 that we know we always like, and then 4 rotate out every season.
Battlefield, Smashville, FD, PS2,
Yeah, and then find another.
WarioWare.
Yeah,
Sounds Gucci.
Yeah, or Yoshi's or something. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Something that we can rely on.
Always rely on WarioWare.
I don't know.
but yeah. I think the idea should be considered, and especially like if regions are interconnected enough. Like Tri-State's fortunate enough that a lot of players travel between the 3 aspects
yeah.
of Tri-State. So like if we had a rotation going and all agreed upon it, then like people could actively learn all of those different stages.
But
Or
coming
like
from a new perspective, which I'm hoping we get a lot of, do you want to throw everything out the window every 5 months, or
Well, I think there should be a sizable core. I think the rotating part should
Yeah,
definitely be the smaller
the core I
part.
think's a good.
I think that needs to be
foundation.
the basis because, like you said, we can't just get rid of Battlefield. We can't just get rid of Final Destination.
Like if you get rid of FD, Samus maids aren't gonna know what to do. As an example,
Okay. I mean, Little Mac too is going to be struggling for
Little
sure.
Mac,
But I was only getting rid of FD under the pretense that like
there you have an FD sub.
yeah, you have
At that
something
point,
that does
what's
the
the
same
reason?
role. Well, the reason is for variety.
Not even variety, I would say. I would say like certain different aspects. So, like, let's say for instance, Hazardless Wileys and Final Destination. They're both flat.
Short
One has walls.
One has walls.
walls are good.
One does not have walls.
Yeah.
No
That could be
walls
the
at all.
difference.
And that's big enough. And same thing with the Prism Tower rotating, like that the hazardless
then we're-
stage, you could maybe poke through the. I don't know if you can just jump through the stage.
I don't
like,
know.
kinda
For
like
Prism, I
Skywalk.
don't think you can.
I'm just saying, suppose you could, right? Because you can when it transitions, I think.
I don't know.
I
I'm
don't
not ready
remember.
for this new
Maybe.
wave of Johns I would have won if it was 2 weeks ago when I could have counterpicked a WarioWare.
Oh, that's a spicy one.
Yeah,
gonna
but I mean,
happen.
other games deal with a seasonal rotation of maps and such too.
I don't want to play other games. I'll play Smash.
Right, but
on my
I mean,
favorite town and city.
the
and never
alternative-
change.
The alternative, right, is we have, let's say we come down to it, and there's 19 good stages, right? We're
That's a
not
lot.
gonna have 19 stages legal. That's
That's
just
a
too
long
much.
pick ban.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you imagine icing your opponent on 19 stages to pick and ban through?
That's too much. Clearly, like anyone could agree with that.
You would get like 8 bands.
Yeah.
That's
So,
way too many.
what were you saying, Trevor? Oh yeah. So, if if that's not feasible, then we would have to cut some stages.
Right.
And if 19 stages are truly playable, then people will complain if we just cut, let's say, 10 of them to go down to a stage list of 9. So if we cut 10 stages outright and they're just gone permanently, people are going to be sad that like those 10 stages. In fact, that's more than half. in
That'd be
this
very
hypothetical.
impressive if we can pare down a game that's going to have about 108 stages, including the DLC stages, to just about 8 or 9.
I can pare it down to 6 right now.
I mean,
Give me the
listen,
list. I'll do it.
any fool.
I will
let me
do
at
it.
I'm not saying anyone can or can't. Any idiot can pare down to Smashville, FD, Battlefields, insert 2 favorite things you like or your character's good on. You don't get a participation trophy for that. I'm just saying there's so many options. I feel like at some point down the road, those options should be explored. Whether or not there's
Sure.
stages that are doubles exclusive or there is some sort of seasonal rotation.
Doubles exclusive is a good thing. Just
I
let
think
the-
we should
let the
revisit
big
the
boys,
idea of doubles exclusivity as a
I'd-
community.
I think that would be a good step forward.
Because, like, how many games has Congo Jungle 64 been a double
We're
stage?
not letting that in. Though.
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about that. What's up, Trevor?
All right, so I think you guys really need to look at what Blizzard did with StarCraft. So I brought the Wikipedia map pool list from StarCraft 2, and I have it up on the screen so everybody can take a look at it. And you'll notice this is the original map pool from Wings of Liberty, the first version of StarCraft 2.
People really liked Antigua Shipyard.
Antigua Shipyard is the longest map in rotation for StarCraft 2 ever. This map was in the ladder pool from 2011 all the way to 2013.
Is that long?
That's years. That is long for StarCraft. And the second most popular map, or second most played, was Desert Oasis, followed by Cloud Kingdom. So you got to see those maps all the time.
Cloud Kingdom sounding like Smash 4 doubles.
Oh, no.
But also, they had maps specifically for 2v2. So some of these maps were modified significantly to make sure that they played better in 2v2. Obviously, you have more players, more resources being used. Obviously, comparing Smash to StarCraft is a little weird, but
Damn, Scorched Haven must have been dope.
I'm looking at
it wasn't. 2v2
Magna
sucked.
Core.
2v2.
Damn,
I mean,
sounds
that-
like Smash.
Then you get the 3v3 and
wrong.
4v4, but we don't talk about those. But this is the first iteration of StarCraft 2. We'll pop over to Heart of the Swarm, and you'll see right away what the big difference is.
No one enjoyed anything.
No one
apparently.
liked it.
They
Antigua
rotated the
Shipyard.
map so fast.
That is something I would want to actively avoid in Smash because, like, if we're gonna have a rotation, it might as well like I'm not gonna play on the same map for 3 weeks and then never see it until like next
I guarantee if you go to any of
But
those
here's the
Smash
thing,
4
though.
friendlies
Look
you're
at
playing town.
the distance here. So this is 2013, 2014, 2015.
Yep.
So you can see like these maps stuck around for like about a year. Usually 4 seasons was kind of the sweet spot for a map in Heart of the Swarm. Some obviously stuck around, and some kind of were partially in and out of seasons as they rebalanced. But you go over to Legacy of the Void, and you see that
Oh my lord!
they get even more aggressive with map changes.
These are just polka dots now.
That's
like,
just absurd.
This is bad.
But look at the map variety. Look how many maps there are.
well, that's basically
But
what
at
we're
what-
looking at now.
Yes, but at what
Ultimate.
cost?
So I mean,
Well,
there's smart ways to do what they did. I'd say like they did it somewhat effectively given the amount of the maps they had, and we're kind of dealing with a similar situation where we just have so many maps. So
and not only that, so many legal maps.
Yeah.
Or potentially legal maps.
So like, I mean, I was thinking about what Magic sometimes does with their rotation system, and obviously Magic is a completely different game, but like they have a seasonal rotation of sets of cards you can play.
Yeah.
And they don't just like when I think they were doing it best, they didn't just like say, all right, everything goes, new cards, you know, they ease one set out and then the next one comes in. So like, let's say we have 9 stages. What if every 2 months one stage rotates, just one for a new stage? But it's, you know, so that therefore there's constant change, but most of it stays the same. So you're not feeling like you're getting the rug pulled out from underneath you. But it's still you're still getting variety, you know.
I think that's an interesting way to look at things.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. I also would think Smashers in general will play on town and Smashville.
You know
Regardless,
there's regions that don't
regardless-
like town like we do?
There's regions
Can
that
I move?
aren't as. you
Oklahoma
have the
welcomes
option
you with
if
open
you'd like.
arms.
Yeah.
Is AON going on a road trip?
All right, pack it up.
Put a trailer hitch on the building. Get some nice red flags on the sides. Oh, this will be fine.
We're just gonna put a sail on the top of the building and just move the whole
Just
thing.
up. All right. But I do like the idea of every 2 months one stage rotates out.
even 1 month. I don't know.
That sounds a little.
That's a little too
But it's
quick.
just one stage, you know.
All
Yeah.
right, let's hold our horses here. Let's shoot for quarterly first.
Quarterly sounds like
Well,
a good place to start. Yeah.
Personally, I think that the meta is going to be moving fast enough where we need to keep up. And if we wait 2 months to make a decision on a single stage, you know, the rest of the world could have moved on way beyond that stage way faster than us. So I don't want to never get to test Skyloft because other regions say it's banned because we only change stages every 6 months or something.
I
you know?
mean, to play devil's advocate, the Spanish Smash 4 scene banned Bayonetta when she was in pre-patch.
Mm-hmm.
They're not viewed as prophets for doing so because they beat everyone to the punch.
They also nerfed Bayonetta.
And they
won't
kept her
nerf
banned
the
during that.
stage.
I don't know.
They did nerf Lilac. Lilac killed a lot of people after they, a lot less people after they fixed it.
That's not. That's. I'll call that a buff.
I'm just saying I don't want to have too slow of a reaction time. Like if we set our rotation to be 2 months, you know, and then like just think about it. Like, don't you think that in the first month of play that other regions are going to decide what they want to do?
I think other regions are going to do something completely different and stick to that until like some governing body decides here's what we do
Until
now.
Genesis.
Sure, that's very possible. I'm a little afraid of that. Like all this might mean nothing if
All of this
if
Genesis
is just
says
like
Skyloft is good.
yep, yeah. That's really what I hope does not happen.
That's
I
probably going to happen.
I have confidence in saying that I think Ultimate a lot of TOs are going to be a lot more like
Connected.
either connected or even just like they're gonna want to stick to what they want to do. They're not gonna. I feel like the Smash 4 recommended rule set left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths,
Yeah.
and we as a community rolled with it because it worked, and there was very little reason to deviate from it. Smash Ultimate leaves us in a very different environment where there's tons of room to deviate, and there's not a lot of punishment for doing so. Like, say for instance, we like Arena Ferox with hazards off, and some other region really likes, for whatever reason, Great Bay hazardsless.
Sure.
Oklahoma.
I could have Oklahoma.
They want to see water. Like, how can you blame them?
Yeah. But like, and they're completely justified in their decision. We're completely justified in ours, and we go months playing on Arena Ferox. They go months playing on Great Bay. They could do that.
Yeah, but what happens when the PGR says, "Hey, your tournament can't be ranked unless you follow this rule set"?
Well, maybe they won't.
Maybe they probably will.
Maybe pigs will fly. I don't know. Cat. Cat named V in the chat.
Maybe Waluigi will get in Smash.
If I didn't update the title of the stream, I apologize.
You didn't.
Definitely.
As I just learned from our.
Oopsie.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, no.
Although Robbie would be a sick guest on here.
Maybe one day. I mean,
Like, Nico can provide a lot of insight, I feel. Trevor is very happy with
something happened with the Splatoon thing he's watching.
No, I think he's just very happy with our inability to update names.
Oh, okay.
Got him.
Well, sorry, he hijacked the stream today, so.
Tangential note, I think Nico would be a great guest to have. I think we do need to have more Melee heads.
Sure.
But also, like, I feel like the PGR is going to look at tournaments and they're going to be like, attendees, check. Good players, check. What else is there to look at? Other numbers, check. I don't think it's going to be as big of a deal to follows X rule.
Maybe.
Because for what it's worth, like, Smash and Splash had no cloud in doubles, I believe.
And it was still counted?
Yeah.
Okay.
Same thing with Gommel, where they also had no cloud. I think it was no cloud at all. Still counted. And that was technically a deviation from the recommended rule set because there's no rule initially stating
Doubles
no
doesn't
clouds
count
allowed.
for PGR.
Yes, but it is a
It doesn't matter.
it's a rule nonetheless.
Okay.
But it's still something to look forward to.
What are you drawing?
Don't worry about it.
Okay. All right. Well, we do got to get out of here at some point. So I think this is a good spot to wrap it up. We'll definitely be talking more about, tournament logistic details. Like these stage changes are pretty big. So
Yeah.
we'll have a lot more to say in the future about this. Plus, I mean, we're learning more details. We're learning more details about the game every single day. So
Yep.
I guess tune in next week when we inevitably learn everything else that there is about the game, thanks to our friendly Spanish
When the leaks about
companions.
Dakubaba get confirmed.
I know that you're
Dakubama is
really pushing
Echo
for it.
Fighter. No, it's real. It's leaks.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. I'll show you it later.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Dakubaba leaks.
All right. So when you're not on the show, where can people find you?
Down below, you can see my Twitter.
What about you, Frank?
Hangman XI across all social media.
Cool.
You can't find me.
Nope. Ninja?
No.
No, just
I just fade out when I leave the building.
okay. You just disappear.
Yeah.
All right. Last thing I want to bring up to you guys. We are obviously having a Smash Ultimate launch event. If you haven't heard, it's called the Ultimate Kickoff. It is a 3-day event, 72 hours long. You can get your tickets for that now on smash.gg/Ultimate Kickoff. Looking to be a lot of fun. There's going to be ongoing events the entire weekend. So if you want a place to play right as the clock strikes midnight, this is the place to do it. Yeah. All right. I guess that's it for this week.
Yep.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and we will see you next Wednesday. All right. Take care.
See you soon.
Frank, what do you think we should do for our Big Smash Ultimate event?
I was thinking something that could just sort of bring the islands together. Maybe even involve the city guys.
I was thinking about something that really blows away everybody with production value.
You know, if you don't have anything better, maybe we can just invite out the top 20 guys in New York.
We definitely need like 16 more screens and maybe run 4 streams.
Well, we need to stay realistic because we went over our budget for the last event.
I've got it!
Whoa. Are you telling me that's not 1 Days of Smash, not 2 Days of Smash, but 3 Days of Smash?
Don't you think that's a bit much?
Are people going to sleep here?
No. I'm gonna make sure people are showering, bathing. Proper hygiene is gonna get practiced for once.
You know, maybe we can even get one of those Old Spice sponsorships.
Either way, it's gonna be a great blowout party celebration of Smash.
Yeah, you know what? I think I like it. We can turn it into like a big event with side events of all kinds. We could even do a raffle again. We could have events with items. We can have events with Final Smashes. This could be great.
Yeah, but what do we call it?
Yo, I'm getting absolutely murdered in fantasy football this week.
Wait, Trev, that could be it.
Guys, I know what we're going to do for the Smash Ultimate launch event. 7 days of Smash.
No!